Let's see. The war between Hasan and Asmongold continues. Let's see. Session would be a large invasion of fissures or generally any specialized mission that give limited time items, even if you get carried. Yeah. Yeah, I'll respond to that later. But yeah, Hassan is actually like losing his shit over Asmongold. It's fucking hilarious to watch.
I would completely support his right to do this, but he's not. You don't know anything. No, it does not. What are you talking about? I don't really know exactly how the law works. This is my purview. Why did you spend 48 hours worth of content saying? Oh my. That's it.
Because because Asmongold is not a political streamer. He's taking information and tries to make logic out of it, right? Like use the common man's he's saying, right? Common man's logic to the situation, right? I would say majority of people don't really care that this student, because this is about that student who got his green card revoked and got kicked out, really don't care that he got kicked out. It's like even if it was actually impeding on First Amendment, and it was like unlawful, whatever. Yeah. Even then, they don't care. Let's be real. Most people won't care if a citizen got removed, which, by the way, is a bad precedent. But most people won't care if a citizen was removed for being a terrorist supporter. But active terrorist, like not like saying like, oh, I think Hamas is not that bad. Active terrorist supporter, like making the lives of other, like honestly, what he did, forget getting like kicked out of the U.S. Probably should go to jail because it's like if you're a strong believer of First Amendment, then technically he prevented a lot of students, um, not him specifically, but the group he was a part of, the group he was actively engaging in, and actively he was like one of the leaders of that group, whatever, actively making the lives of other citizens, um, like they like impeded on their freedom of speech, right? They couldn't go to certain classes. They were afraid to go to classes. They couldn't walk through certain areas of the campus that they fucking paid a lot of money for, right? You are actively impeding on other people's freedom of speech. So honestly, I don't think anyone cares that, like any normal person actually cares that this guy was removed. Now, if we talk about just like the philosophy of it, should he be removed or not? Like, should green cards be able to revoke? Well, as far as I know, green card is not a citizenship, therefore it can be revoked. Like that is like the two major problems with not problems, but like the two major deficits that a green card has over citizen is, like, as far as I know, you can't vote. Well, this is what my understanding is in Canada. In Canada, if you're like a permanent resident, which is I guess similar to like a green card, and you're not a citizen, you can't vote, and it can be revoked. So, as from my understanding, green card works in a very similar way. You're on a green card, you're not a citizen, therefore it can be revoked, and what do you call it? And you can't vote. I don't know if you can vote on a green card, but for the most part, you are not actually a part of the society. You are participating in it, but you're not like a part of it yet, right? You have the privilege to be pseudo civilian, But yeah, that's my understanding.
I certainly don't know all of the confines of like, I don't know everything about the fucking immigration law either. Having said that, then why did you spend 48 fucking hours worth of content saying? Anyway, he spent way more than 48, by the way. No, that's the, you in the United States of America, you can literally fucking say you love Al Qaeda, you love the KKK, yes, you love Nazis. The government can't fucking deport you
as a citizen, because how are you gonna deport a citizen? Where are they gonna go? They are a citizen. Like where would a citizen go? Of course, you're not gonna deport a citizen, but you can send them to jail, right? Obviously, not for speech, like not for this speech, but like
you over. Yes, that's true. If you're a citizen, Hasan would be right. What are you talking about? Yeah. It is also constitutionally protected. He's saying no context under the Immigration and National.
Also, Constitution is for the citizens. The Constitution is made for U.S. citizens. Again, I'm not talking about this like a lawyer or whatever, but like to my understanding, all the rights, all the Constitution, all that stuff is for citizens. Them allowing you to have that as well, to an extent, it's a boon, but like it's a privilege. It's not a right. Like people who are citizens, they have the right of the Constitution. People who are not citizens, who are green card holders, who are like visitors, whatever, they have the, what do you call it? The privilege of using the Constitution to an extent, right? Because as far as I know, there's also like in for gun laws, it's like, oh, we have the Second Amendment. As far as I know, tourists are not allowed to like buy guns the same way that civilians are. And I believe that this applies to, maybe this applies to green card holders. I'm not sure too much about that, right? But it's like, you have a privilege, but that doesn't mean that everything applies to you, right? And as the Secretary of the State, Rubio, I think he's the Secretary, Rubio stated that it's like, if you, when you applied for the visa or for the green card, told us that you're going to, prevent kids from going to college, make the life very hard for Jewish students who are citizens, like obviously you wouldn't get your green card, you wouldn't get your visa. So on the same level, we can take it back, right? If he was a citizen, then it's a different story.
Any non-citizen, including a green card holder, is subject to deportation if they engage in terrorist activities.
There you go.
Activities include material support like any form of facilitation of the terrorist organization.
Yeah, makes sense.
Hasan is muddying the waters trying to reframe this individual.
I don't think it's a violation of free speech. Kidnaps a green card holder for being pro-Palestine. But yes, and again, there's this whole argument. Well, it's like, well, Hamas is not actually, like, just because the U.S. Says that Hamas is terrorist doesn't mean that they're actually terrorists. Actually, that means that in the U.S., Hamas is a terrorist organization. Maybe in Palestine, Hamas is not a terrorist organization, like it's not considered it. But you are currently not in Palestine, you are in the US. So you're going to follow what the US dictates. And if the US dictates that somebody, something, some organization is a terrorist organization and you are supporting it, you are in fact, while in the US, you are supporting a terrorist organization. It's not fucking rocket science, right? It doesn't matter if you consider Hamas a terrorist organization or not. If you are residing in the US and you are supporting Hamas, you are effectively supporting a terrorist organization based on US standards, because every country has its own standards, and you go by the standards of the country you are currently in. Duh.
Is just being pro-Palestine. Here are the facts. So this is the guy that has been detained as a leader of the CUAD, which was formed after SLP and JVP were suspended for pro-terror activity. The CUAD, Columbia University Apartheid Divest, was responsible for this reenactment of Helm's Deep last year. And so Khalil openly defends Hamas in the CUAD video on March 2025.
By the way, all of these people should be jailed and deported if they're if they're not citizens. This is not lawful protesting, okay? And I don't care. It's like, oh, well, you just hate Palestinians. If Jews did the same thing, I would say the same exact thing. If any group did the same thing, I would say the exact same thing. This is not peaceful protesting. You have absolutely no right to block anything that is not yours. You have a right to block your own house. That is yours. You can do it. You are not allowed to block college facilities, college doors, like college walkways. You have no right for it. Same as like people who are blocking roads. The road is not yours. You have absolutely zero right to protest on a road, right? You have the right to protest, but you cannot inhibit people's other rights, right? You can protest all you want, but you can't tell somebody to shut up, right? Because that's impeding on their freedom of speech. So it's like, if you're doing a protest, right, and I don't agree with your protest, and I protest right next to you the exact opposite thing, you are not allowed to tell me that I can't do it, okay? Because that is my freedom of speech at that point, right? So what they're doing, crime. That's actually a crime. That is not a protest. This is a crime. There's a difference. Primal screams, I love it.
And so Khalil openly defends Hamas in the CUAD video on March 2025. Yes, they're calling it terrorism because you're killing innocent people. CUAD's anti-American stance is clear. Members vowed to weaken U.S. imperialism on March 9th, 2025. The NY Post exposed their goal. This is unbelievable. Eradication of Western civilization. The CUAD organized a pro-terror event in March 24th called Palestinian Resistance 101. Speaking at the event was Khalid Barakat, a senior member of the PFLP, a designated terror group. So they organized an event, and one of the speakers was a member of a terrorist group. What is this? Let's just go ahead and get down to it, right? If this guy is associated with this group, and this group has done anything to whitewash Hamas or to promote Hamas, without a shadow of a doubt, they have a complete justification to deport him. But these are in fact what the rules are. It is a literal fact that a green card holder can be removed for being being part of a group
Yep.
expresses support for a terrorist group. It's literally outlined, and this specific case, like, it is literally written down. I want to talk to you because you're intentionally being dishonest. Support. I would say passing out flyers and then inviting a person from a terrorist organization to speak at your event is supporting. That's in my opinion, I think that's support. That is also that's coward. Yeah, stop supporting terrorists. You would think that not supporting terrorists is easy to do, but you'd really be surprised. This okay. Constitutionally protected. He's saying you want to talk to you because you're intentionally being dishonest. That is also that's cowardice.
The Constitution doesn't apply. Yeah.
The tweet that Hasan made about me, and this is why I don't engage with this. It's because it's completely misrepresenting, absolutely 100% misrepresentation. When somebody opens up a conversation on the premise of me thinks it's a violation of
literally the usual Hasan fucking tactic, like take something someone says, misrepresent it, either out of context or purposefully misunderstand it to where it kind of still makes sense to what it said. Okay, I don't think it's a violation of free speech when devs make video game boobs smaller. And it's like, no, it's not. He never said that. And it's like, he's also like writing it from somebody's, like, again, how do you call it? Intellectually dishonest. Like Hasan is like the peak of intellectual dishonesty, right? I don't think there's a shred of honest bone in Hasan's body. It is actually like baffling that people still like listen to this retard.
Devs make video game boobs smaller, but when the DHS openly kidnaps a green card holder for being pro-Palestine,
it's like,
so let's go ahead and break this down line by.
If you're still a Hasan watcher, you probably still believe everything the media says, not just CNN. Everything the media still says, you still believe that. All right, the media cannot lie because Hasan has been caught on lies so many times, right? Purposely misrepresenting, purposefully lying, right? Literally going back on what he said and saying that it never happened. Again, lie. Basically what the media does, right? Literally using media tactics. And if you still believe Hasan, you probably still believe CNN and Fox and all that stuff, that they don't have an agenda, that they're not lying to your face, that they're misrepresenting certain cases, that they're downplaying certain things, whereas like they're overplaying other things, right?
By line. Asmongold thinks it's a violation of free speech when devs make video game boobs smaller. I wish it was, but unfortunately it's not. This is an obvious appeal. This is an ad absurdum. We're going to escalate what you're thinking. You are a crazy, unreasonable, stupid person for believing this, and I'm going to caricature you as something that you're not in order to make you look stupid. So you introduce me as this person, but then when the DHS openly kidnaps a green card holder for being pro-Palestine, he's not getting deported for being pro-Palestine. He's getting deported, and I don't know, maybe he's not going to get deported, right? There's a chance that he's not going to get deported. But let's say he does. It will not be because he's pro-Palestine. It will be because he's part of a group that has expressed positivity towards being pro-Hamas. And this is the problem, is that Hasan keeps making this comparison. He keeps going and saying that being pro-Hamas is pro-Palestine. This is a terrible way of looking at it, and Hamas is a terrorist organization, and you do a massive disservice to Palestinians when you just use them interchangeably, because this is not the
so the whole like you're doing a massive disservice to Palestinians. Yes and no, because I believe Palestinians are in favor. Like I believe that most Palestinians or most people who support Palestine support Hamas because Hamas is effectively the only military force that Palestinians have. But the fact is that when you're supporting Palestinians while supporting Hamas, the reason he's saying it's a disservice to Palestinians is because if you're supporting Hamas, that means you are supporting a continuation for the fight that Palestinians cannot win. Right? You are literally supporting a fight Palestinians cannot fucking win. Okay? Israel is not going anywhere. And the sooner you accept that fact that Israel is not going anywhere, there's no amount of international pressure without physical pressure that you can put on Israel for them to be like, oh, you know what? Okay, you know what? You're right. Okay, guys, Jews, it's time to leave. It was a nice trip down to like memory lane, but apparently, yeah, we can't have Israel at the moment. Palestinians were here first, even though they had like absolutely no right to the place ever. But they were here, so we're gonna give it to them for whatever, because the international pressure is so strong that we just have to like abide. So yeah, excuse me, Prime Minister, where are we gonna go? Oh, well, apparently to the sea and drown, because there's no other place that we can actually go. So yeah, I guess we're just gonna have to like die. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, it was a fun project, but I guess you guys who were born here at this point and have absolutely nothing to do with the history of this place, yeah, you're just gonna have to die. While other people who also were born in this region and have nothing to do with this place as well, they're gonna have to live here because they apparently have more right based on international pressure than we do. This is such an absurd argument of like who has the right to Israel. Whoever can fucking defend it, whoever can fucking fight for it, like fuck off.
Higher cause, it makes all of them look like they're these bad people, and he's doing this, and I think he's own goaling for something that he's so fucking supportive of. He thinks it's awesome and not a violation of the First Amendment. It's not that I think that, it's that that's what the law is. That's what the law, classic free speech defender stuff here. So again, I am a free speech defender, but I have never said that I'm a free speech absolutist. I've never said this before. I've openly stated in many cases that there are tons of things that I think there should be limitations on free speech about. So when I see somebody who is in
Fair.
every single line of their statements about me, mischaracterizing, intentionally caricaturing, and misrepresenting what I'm saying,
I think honestly, free speech. I would be a free speech absolutist if there wasn't something like the internet, like Twitter and all that stuff. This is the problem because it's like I don't mind if a crazy person is like, you know, going to like some square and like yelling his crazy spiel. I have a problem when all these crazy people can actually gather like gather their voices and then have like 1,000 people on a square screaming this thing, because then it's disturbing the peace, right? If it when it's one crazy person yelling around, it's like, whatever, fuck it, it's just one crazy person, even two, whatever. But when it's a fucking, you know, a group yelling shit, you are in like at that moment you're gonna be in fear of something happening. Why? Because there's too many people, too many variables at that point, right? There is a certain amount of people that it's like at this point this can turn to a riot rather than just like a peaceful protest of like random people yelling. So I would be more of an free speech absolutist if the internet didn't exist, if crazies could not gather so easily, right? But the problem is crazies can gather so easily now that, you know, you might want to be able to like stop them. But yeah.
And have a conversation about this because you're beginning on a foundation that doesn't exist. This does not exist. Everything about this is false. So by engaging with this, all you do is enable it. No, it's not going to happen. Let's see here. We're going to go through the rest of this. So this is what he said originally. It's not good faith at all. It's not even remotely good faith. It's like 180 degrees in the other direction. I think that Hasan, and I don't
Which is, by the way, extremely unfair of Hasan because Asmongold has been so good faith towards him, even trying to defend him through the Ethan Klein content nuke, which Hasan didn't watch, Asmongold's reaction and how much Asmongold went out of his way to like give the benefit of the doubt to Hasan. Instead, he was acting like a fucking crybaby. He's like, "Oh, Asmongold, watch Ethan's video. He's my enemy now." It's like, bro, watch the fucking video before you fucking complain about it. Holy shit.
That Hasan, like if I look at this clip, right? Where's like fan comes up there? Here we go. Oh, this is me reacting to it. I saw this video yesterday. That was a while ago.
I'm sorry, you need to stop preaching right through our stream. Boycott.
Wait, is it?
You're preaching right homicide and you're drinking glucose up please. Please pretend through our stream.
Okay, I'll put in a glass. Is Pepsi okay?
No.
At least pretend so you can do it off stream. At least pretend. How fucking stupid is that?
No, I didn't know it was like that. Shutting. So you have a person who is, in my opinion, to a degree, audience capture. These people got mad at him for drinking Coca-Cola. Okay, like if you look at, for example, my videos about Donald Trump, and if you look at Asmongold, Ukraine, Trump, this has 2,000 downvotes. The reason why is because I expressed a lot of frustration with what Trump was doing, and I disagreed with him. And so I have no problem going against my audience in a lot of cases. And in fact, some of my viewers get frustrated because I do it to a fault. The fact is that I think he needs to be more honest about this, and I think that him playing defense for it, all it's doing is it's radicalizing people against his cause. And I think that he does have, and again, I think Hasan does have fundamentally with.
Well, at this point, like he can't even go against it because I think he radicalized everyone who's watching Hasan at this point, aside from like people who's trying to get clips of him for YouTube, which at that point doesn't really matter because they're gonna get clips regardless of which side he talks to. At this point, like, because we saw this during the Harry Potter video game, right? We saw what happened, like how his community like went off on him for like the whole transgender thing because they're all just fucking crazy radicals, bro. Right, so we saw what happens when he goes against them, and somebody made the point where it's like after that moment he stopped going against his community on any little subject, right? To completely avoid conflict with his community because he cannot handle any backlash at all, and this is obvious, like with what's going on with Asmongold. Asmongold literally was super fucking defensive of Hasan and like benefit of the doubt, and he still went after Asmongold, trying to go after Asmongold. Like, he's not very successful. It's just, like, bringing about more fucking memes against himself. People who already hated Asmongold hate Asmongold. Like, it's like you're not changing anything here. People who hated him already hate him. People who like him already like him. And people who are in the middle just don't care. right? So you're not doing anything. So yeah, he just can't take criticism. He can't take any backlash. So he's a baby.
When you make the people that are these people that have had their life fucking destroyed, when you make being pro them, being pro terrorist group, what you do is you make them look bad and you alienate average people against them. But we'll keep going. We'll watch the rest of it.
With evidence to the contrary, Asmongold immediately said, if it's true, then I guess he's right and I'm
And
wrong.
I wish you could do the same. I wish he could say, if it's true that a green card holder can be deported for having connections to groups that have shown positivity towards terrorism, then he's absolutely justified to be deported. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. And you can disagree with this, right? Like ideologically, but to say that that's not the case is completely ridiculous. It is stated that way. Do you think the Palestinians are Hamas supporters? I think a lot of them are, but I think that a lot of them also aren't. And I think that a lot of the people that are Hamas supporters are the devil you know supporters. These are people who support Hamas because while they might not like Hamas, they want Hamas to stop the people that have been bombing them. And I think that it's understandable that many Palestinians would support Hamas. I'm not justifying it, but I'm saying it's understandable. So I don't hold it against the Palestinians. And even if you say it's 80%, that means 1 in 5 people doesn't deserve to be fucking categorized as a terrorist supporter. That's why I apologize for it. I think it's wrong. I think using a generalization like that to dehumanize those people and caricature their viewpoints is unfair to them. It's unfair to their cause, and it's dishonest. So no, I'm not going to do that. And even if it is 80%, that's still not enough.
The question is what their cause is. Because you can be like, oh, I don't support Hamas, but I support River to the Sea. They are effectively doing the same thing, right? I have yet to meet a Palestinian supporter, but it's not like I'm going out of my way to meet them either. But like, you know, the ones that are online, at least, I haven't met one Palestinian supporter who is reasonable, aside from Palestinian supporters who are Israeli or Jewish, which is kind of fucking ironic. The only Palestinian supporters that want Palestinians to have their own land, to have freedom, stuff like that, and like have equal rights and like have part in the Israeli government, stuff like that, are other Jews in Israel. They're progressive, they're leftist. I don't agree with them, but they are the only ones. Everyone else who I saw, now again, I also saw like people in Gaza who are like, you know, blaming Hamas for everything. So they do exist, right? But anyone outside of that region, like any Palestinian supporter in Canada, in the US, in Europe, no. Like I have never seen any one of those that are like rational, that like think practically about the solution. For them it's like one thing or the other. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Where it's like you guys don't even live in that place. You guys are not even Palestinians, right? You have nothing to do with that place. Like, oh, I have family there, but it's like, okay, so listen to what your family says, okay? Because people who live there, like in that region, both Israelis and Palestinians, right? They are so it's so insane to me that the people who are living in the conflict are more reasonable to an extent than the progressives that live like way offshore, right? They have nothing to do with it. They're just like they have their bias, and it's like, you know, and they're the more emotional ones. You would think when you're like stepping away from a situation, you are more logical, but no, these people are just like way more emotional than the people who are like on the ground who need a rational solution so like the bombing would stop.
For me to say that they're all collectively guilty. That's outrageous. It's more complicated than that, and anybody who's honest knows that, right?
So
And
a
it's
realistic
just the law works. I don't
solution.
really know exactly how the law works. This is
Why,
why
then why did you spend 48 fucking hours worth of content saying? Oh my.
Is Hasan a lawyer? Like the fact is that neither of us know what the fuck we're talking about. Neither of us are lawyers. I mean, neither of us are lawyers. That's not how it works. Yeah, exactly. Now, in my opinion, by the way, this is still my opinion. I don't want to have anybody in the fucking country that's not a naturalized citizen that's supporting a terrorist organization, and I don't think that we need to afford the full rights of freedom of speech to people that are not even citizens to advocate for terrorism.
Okay, you don't like the First Amendment. That's it.
See?
Yeah, that's not what he said. Yeah, people who are visitors, people who are not citizens. Yeah, the Constitution is not for them. The Constitution is for the citizens. That's, again, misrepresenting what he said.
This is what I've been saying. What are we doing here?
You don't like the First Amendment, then. You are anti-free speech. That's it. You are anti-free speech.
Oh, God. Oh, jeez. I don't know what to say, guys. Can you be deported as a U.S. resident? Yeah, can a naturalized citizen be deported? The short answer is yes. Well, no, you're right. They can actually still deport you if you're a citizen, but like the bar for that is...
Yeah. Anyways, that's the whole point of the video. Honestly, from here on, it's probably going to be just repeating itself. But like, yeah, like at that point exactly, like what Hasan just said. It's like, oh well, you don't like free speech for like non-citizens, so you are anti the Constitution. You're anti free speech. Like that is completely not what he said. Overblowing what he said to like proportions that are just not even fucking realistic. Right? He's just making shit up. Right? Again, Hasan is a fucking retard. It is what it is. He's just trying as hard as he can to like, you know, demonize basically, because like that's what he's insinuating, He's trying to like character assassinate, destroy the character, manipulate the character of Asmongold. And honestly, I wouldn't call him successful. It's like there are already people who hate Asmongold and they're just gonna agree with whatever Hasan says just for the fact that he's saying something bad about Asmongold, right? Is he gonna get much more viewers because of it? I highly doubt it. I mean, he's getting light now because of the conflict, but like, bro, once Asmongold is tired of the conflict and stops paying attention to it, and Hasan will try to farm it, it will not go anywhere, right? Which usually what happens. Asmongold doesn't do conflicts for very long. So yeah. Anyways, I'm not gonna keep reacting. I think the idea is pretty obvious. Hasan is just a fucking retard, man. Like, it's like he's a puppet on the strings of his community. Like, legit has like it's kind of insane. Like I don't want to say that he doesn't have his own thoughts, but it's like his thoughts have to go through the filter of like how his community is going to react to his thoughts, kind of thing, which is kind of crazy to me to live this way. I'm surprised he's like not in a what do you call it, in a straight jacket. Honestly, it is actually insane to live that way. Anyways, that's it for this video. Peace.